The Power of Silence. Introduction. When was the last time you were truly silent? No phone, no music, no scrolling, just quiet. If you had to think hard about that, you're not alone. Most of us live in a world that never stops talking. There's always something buzzing, ringing, or demanding our attention. We wake up to notifications. We fall asleep to background noise. We even take our phones into the bathroom. Don't lie, we've all done it. Here's the thing. No one tells you all that noise, it's costing you. Your focus, your peace, your confidence, your ability to think clearly. And that's exactly why I wrote this book. This isn't just about being quiet. This is about taking back control of your mind. It's about creating space to think, to breathe, to be present again. It's about using silence as a tool, not just to feel better, but to make better decisions, have better relationships, and unlock a level of success that noise can't give you. Because the most powerful people I know, they're not the loudest in the room, they're the calmest, the clearest, the most grounded. This book will show you how to get there. Not through meditation or weird rituals, just small, simple shifts that help you quiet the outside world so you can finally hear your own thoughts again. Before you start, make sure to subscribe our channel to become 1% better every day. Series. Chapter 1. Noise is the enemy. Let's start with something honest. Life today feels loud. Not just with sounds, but with constant input. The minute we open our eyes, the world starts shouting. Notifications, emails, headlines, traffic, texts, news, ads, opinions, then more opinions about those opinions. Even when we're not doing anything important, there's still noise in the background. Music, podcasts, YouTube, Netflix, Instagram stories, TikTok loops. It's like we've become allergic to silence. And you know what's scary? We've gotten so used to it that we don't even notice how much it's hurting us. We don't think anymore. We react. Here's the truth. Most people today aren't thinking. They're just reacting. From the moment we wake up, we're in reaction mode. We scroll, skim, swipe, and reply. We get hit with news we didn't ask for. We read messages we weren't ready for. We watch stories of other people's lives and instantly compare them to ours, without even realizing it. And then we wonder why we feel anxious, stuck, unfocused, or unhappy. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you lack motivation. It's because your mind is drowning in noise. Constant, relentless, mental clutter that never gives you space to breathe. The modern world has trained us to be uncomfortable with silence, but silence is exactly where your best thinking, your best decisions, and your best ideas come from. Without it, you're running on autopilot. Your brain wasn't built for this much. Input. Our brains are ancient, literally. They were designed for a much slower, quieter world. Imagine a human 2,000 years ago. They'd spend long hours walking, thinking, sitting by firelight. There were no smartphones, no emails, no breaking news alerts. Fast forward to today. We process more information in a single day than someone in the 1800s might have seen in a year. It's like trying to run a small kitchen blender with the engine of a jet plane. Eventually, it burns out. That burnout shows up in strange ways. You sit down to do important work, but can't focus for more than 10 minutes. You feel drained by noon, even though you haven't done anything physical. You scroll through social media for 2 hours, but feel more disconnected than ever. That's not just modern life. That's the result of mental noise overload. The hidden cost of constant notifications. Let's talk about notifications. We treat them like small, harmless interruptions. But they're not. Every ding, buzz, and pop-up is a tiny crack in your focus. And the more often you get interrupted, the harder it becomes to enter a state of deep, creative thought. Think about this. Research shows it takes about 23 minutes to fully refocus after being interrupted. So if your phone lights up every 10 minutes, you're never truly focused at all. We're constantly switching contexts. Email, Instagram, WhatsApp, Slack, YouTube. Then back to work. Then someone texts. Then you reply. Then you check comments. Your brain is jumping between apps like a pinball. And that bouncing takes a toll. By the end of the day, you feel exhausted. Not because of hard work, but because of mental fragmentation. This scattered energy stops you from doing your best thinking. It weakens your memory. It even messes with your sleep. You might feel like you're busy all day, but you're not getting anything meaningful done. Noise destroys emotional intelligence. Here's something people don't talk about enough. Noise doesn't just kill focus, it kills connection. When your mind is full of noise, you don't hear yourself clearly. And when you can't hear yourself, you also can't hear others properly. Have you ever snapped at someone without realizing why? Or misread a tone and made a situation worse? Or zoned out during an important conversation because your brain was somewhere else? That's the emotional cost of noise. We need mental space to reflect, to understand ourselves, and to be present with others. Silence is the foundation of empathy. When you give yourself quiet time, your awareness grows. You start catching your patterns. You notice your reactions. You become less impulsive, more thoughtful. The people who struggle most with emotional control, anger, insecurity, jealousy are often the ones who never sit with their thoughts. They avoid silence because they don't want to face what's inside. But avoiding it just makes the storm louder. Real peace is in the one of my coaching clients. Rachel was a high-performing marketing executive in New York. She was sharp, driven, and always on the go. But she came to me because she couldn't sleep. She felt anxious all the time, even though her life looked good on paper. Her mornings started with emails. Her commutes were filled with podcasts. Her evenings were spent scrolling, and her nights were packed with racing thoughts. She had no silence in her life, at all. So I gave her a challenge. 10 minutes of silence every morning. No phone, no music, no journal. Just sit. At first, she hated it. She said it made her uncomfortable. But by week 2, she started to feel different. Her mind was clearer. Her anxiety softened. She described it as feeling like I finally came back to myself. A month later, her productivity went up, but her stress went down. She didn't change her job. She didn't move to the mountains. She just removed the noise. That's the power of silence. It's not magic, it's biology. Your mind is wired to recover in quiet. Silence isn't boring, it's smart. We've been taught to think silence is boring, that doing nothing is lazy, that rest equals weakness. But real winners know better. The best athletes in the world train hard, but they rest harder. The best CEOs in the world schedule time to think. The most respected leaders speak less, not more. They all understand the same thing. Silence creates space for power. Steve Jobs was known for his long walks in silence. Oprah starts her mornings with silent reflection. Jeff Weiner, former CEO of LinkedIn, blocked 2 hours of nothing time into his calendar every day just to think. They're not doing it because it sounds cool. They're doing it because silence gives them an edge. If you want better ideas, better focus, better energy, silence is where it starts. Why we fear silence and how to break it. Let's be real. Silence can feel weird at first. When everything gets quiet, your mind gets loud. Thoughts you've been avoiding start coming up. Old emotions rise. Insecurities whisper. You feel tempted to reach for your phone. You think, I should be doing something. That discomfort is totally normal. But it's also a sign that you need silence even more. Your brain is detoxing. Your nervous system is calming. You're reconnecting with the part of yourself you've been ignoring. Start small. Sit in silence for 5 minutes a day. Or take a walk without your phone. Or eat lunch without distractions. You don't have to become a monk. Just create tiny pockets of quiet. Over time, you'll notice something powerful. The silence stops being scary. It starts becoming your reset button, your safe space, your secret advantage. What you'll gain by removing the noise. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning and don't reach for your phone first thing. You drink your coffee in silence. You think about your day, not what others are posting. You walk into work with calm energy. You're not reactive. You're intentional, focused, sharp. You don't waste energy comparing yourself to everyone online. You're grounded in your own values. You trust your instincts again. You hear your own thoughts more clearly. And when you speak with power, because your words come from clarity, not clutter. That version of you exists. It's not far away. You just have to quiet the noise that's been blocking it. The bottom line noise is the enemy of clarity. It robs you of focus, peace, creativity, and emotional intelligence. It tricks you into thinking you're productive when you're just busy. It keeps you distracted, so you never truly hear your own voice. But silence brings it all back. The next chapter, we'll explore what silence really is and why it's not empty at all. In fact, it might be the most powerful space you ever step into. But for now, here's your first challenge. Find 10 minutes today to sit in silence. No phone, no distractions, just you. You don't need to do anything. Just notice what comes up. That's where the journey begins. Let silence become your strength. You're not escaping the world. You're finally meeting yourself. Chapter 2. Silence isn't empty. What do you feel when everything goes quiet? Not just the kind of quiet when your phone's on airplane mode. I mean the kind of real silence where nothing's playing in the background. No notifications. No one talking. No podcast, no playlist, no scrolling. Just you, your breath, and your mind. For most people, that moment doesn't feel peaceful at all. It feels awkward. It feels lonely. Sometimes it even feels scary. We've been raised in a world that treats silence like a void, as if silence means something is missing, like we're wasting time, like something must be wrong if we're not doing anything. But here's the truth. No one taught us. Silence isn't empty. It's full of healing, full of insight, full of power. And until you learn how to sit with silence, you'll always feel like something's missing, because you've never had the chance to hear your own soul. Why silence makes us uncomfortable? If silence is so powerful, then why do so many of us avoid it? Because silence holds up a mirror. And most people aren't ready to face what's in that reflection. In silence, your thoughts get louder, not because they just showed up, but because you finally stopped drowning them out. All those thoughts that were quietly waiting, your fears, your insecurities, your doubts, they rise. And it feels uncomfortable, even unbearable sometimes. But this is where growth begins. Avoiding silence is like avoiding healing. You can't fix what you're too afraid to face. And you can't grow if you're always running from yourself. The more uncomfortable silence feels, the more you need it. Silence and the brain. A reset button. Let's look at this from a scientific point of view. Your brain is never truly off. Even when you're not focused on a task, there's something called the default mode network, DMN. a part of your brain that becomes active when you're resting, daydreaming, or simply sitting in silence. This network is not lazy time. It's actually when your brain starts processing complex thoughts, making connections, healing emotional tension, and generating creativity. That's why some of your best ideas come in the shower, or during a quiet walk, or lying in bed doing nothing. Your brain needs quiet to connect the dots. Without silence, you don't give your mind the space to file away what it's learned, repair what's been damaged, and reorganize your emotional experiences. One study from 2013 found that 2 hours of silence a day actually led to the growth of new brain cells in the hippocampus, the part of the brain associated with memory and emotion. Silence doesn't just feel good, it literally changes your brain. Silence heals your nervous system. Every day, whether we realize it or not, we're triggering stress responses, emails, traffic, deadlines, negative social media posts, arguments, even just doom scrolling the news can keep your body in a low-level fight-or-flight state all day. Over time, this creates chronic stress, and chronic stress burns you out. Now here's the beautiful part. Silence does the opposite. Spending time in intentional silence helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is basically your body's healing switch. It slows your heart rate, lowers blood pressure, relaxes your muscles, improves digestion. It tells your whole system, you're safe now. You can rest. Silence is medicine. Just 10–15 minutes of silence a day can reduce anxiety, improve focus, and help your body recover from the constant alert mode we all live in. Think of silence like a natural reset button for your body and mind. It's free, it's simple, and yet most people ignore it. What monks, CEOs, and athletes know across every high-performing profession, from monks in temples to billionaires in boardrooms to Olympic athletes, there's one thing they all share: a respect for silence. Monks spend hours in stillness, not because they're bored, but because they understand that clarity comes from calm. Athletes like Kobe Bryant and Novak Djokovic practiced meditation and silent visualization. They knew that mental stillness is just as important as physical training. Top CEOs like Satya Nadella, Microsoft, or Jeff Weiner, LinkedIn, block out time every day, not for meetings, not for hustle, but for quiet reflection. They understand that leadership requires space to think clearly. Silence isn't just spiritual, it's strategic. People at the top don't fear silence, they protect it. Because silence gives them an edge. In silence, they review decisions, anticipate problems, visualize outcomes, understand themselves, train their focus. If they can make time for silence, so can we. Silence is the best listener. In a noisy world, most of us don't listen. We just wait to talk. We interrupt. We scroll while someone's speaking. We hear the words, but not the meaning. Why? Because we've forgotten how to be silent, even in conversation. Here's something powerful to remember. The best listeners aren't the smartest people in the room. They're the quietest. When you give someone full silent attention, they open up. They feel seen. And in return, you understand them better. This doesn't just improve relationships. It builds trust. Silence is a language, a powerful one, a respectful one that says, I'm here, I'm listening, you matter. The same is true when you listen to yourself. When you sit in silence and truly hear your thoughts, without judgment or interruption, you start building a deep inner trust. You begin to understand your patterns, your fears, your dreams. And from that understanding comes real change. Creativity lives in silence. Ever feel like your creativity is blocked? Like you're always busy but never inspired? Like you can't write, design, build, or create the way you want? That's because creativity doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing less. Silence is the soil where creativity grows. In quiet moments, your mind starts to wander, not aimlessly, but productively. That wandering is where the best ideas form. Some of the most creative minds in history, Einstein, Newton, Da Vinci, all had one thing in common: long stretches of silent, deep thought. When your brain is constantly bombarded with input, it has no room to generate output. You can't pour from a glass that's already overflowing. Silence gives your imagination space to breathe. If you're stuck creatively, don't try to push harder. Try to get quieter. How to use silence in daily life. You don't need to move to the mountains or go on a 10-day silent retreat to experience the benefits of silence. You just need to create space. Start small. Morning silence is powerful. Wake up 15 minutes earlier and sit in quiet. Don't check your phone. Don't open your laptop. Just sit. Let your thoughts come. Breathe. Watch what your mind does. At first, it will feel weird, maybe even uncomfortable. But give it a few days. That discomfort will turn into calm. That calm will turn into clarity. You can also practice silent walks. No music, no podcasts. Just you and the outside world. Walk slowly. Notice things. Let your mind wander. Try eating one meal a day in silence. No distractions. Just focus on your food, your body, your breath. And here's a tip. Silence doesn't mean you have to stop doing things. You can do silent cleaning, silent stretching, silent journaling. The key is to remove noise, not remove life. The goal is to create moments in your day where your mind can settle, so your inner voice can speak. Silence is a doorway, not a destination. Some people misunderstand silence. They think it's about isolation, about shutting out the world, becoming passive. But silence isn't the end. It's the beginning. It's a doorway into clearer thinking, deeper self-awareness, sharper intuition, better decisions. The purpose of silence isn't to avoid life. It's to engage with life more fully, without the distractions that keep you from being present. When you embrace silence, you start hearing the wisdom inside you that was always there, but drowned out by noise. You begin to trust yourself again, to hear your gut, to feel more grounded, more focused, more you. That's why this chapter matters. Because silence isn't just about finding peace. It's about unlocking your full potential. You're not missing out. You're tuning in a final thought. FOMO, fear of missing out, is real. We're afraid that if we unplug, we'll fall behind, miss something, be left out, lose momentum. So we stay connected 24/7. Eyes on the feed, ears on the podcast, mind on the next thing. But the real fear we should have is this. What if the more you stay plugged in, the more you miss out on yourself? What if the biggest opportunity isn't out there, but in here? What if silence isn't a luxury, but a necessity? The world will always try to pull your attention outward, but your power comes from going inward. Silence isn't empty. It's everything you've been too distracted to notice. Takeaway. Challenge. Before the next chapter, take 15 minutes today. Find a quiet space. No phone. No music. No distractions. Just sit. Notice what comes up. You don't need to judge it. You don't need to solve anything. Just listen. Let silence speak. It may just say something that changes your life. Chapter 3. Speak less, impact more. We all know someone who talks too much. They fill the air with words, never stop for a breath, and somehow say a lot without really saying anything. And then there are those rare people, the ones who barely speak, But when they do, the room goes quiet. Everyone listens. Their words land heavy like truth bombs. They don't just speak, they impact. This chapter is about becoming that person. Because here's the secret: powerful people talk less. But when they speak, it matters. The myth of constant talking. From a young age, we were taught that speaking up is powerful. And that's partly true. But what we weren't taught is that over-talking actually weakens your presence. Think about this. When someone talks nonstop, do you really listen to everything they say? Or does your brain start tuning out? Now think about the opposite. Imagine someone who only speaks when necessary, who chooses their words like a sculptor shaping marble. You lean in when they talk. You pay attention. You trust their words more because they don't waste them. It's not the volume of words that creates influence. It's the weight of them. In fact, the more you talk, the less power your words carry. But the less you speak, the more people pay attention. The psychology of less is more. There's a psychological principle called the scarcity effect. When something is rare, it feels more valuable. That's why diamonds are expensive, why limited edition items sell fast, and why exclusive things catch our attention. Your words work the same way. If you're constantly talking, there's nothing special about your voice anymore. People get used to it. They stop listening as deeply. But when you speak less, and only when it truly matters, your words feel rare. They feel important. They hold weight. That's why people with true influence don't rush to fill silence. They use it strategically. They pause. They think. They wait. Because they understand that silence is not awkward. It's powerful. A well-placed pause can say more than a 5-minute speech. Silence makes you magnetic. Have you ever been around someone who doesn't talk much, but you still feel their presence deeply? That's not magic. It's energy management. People who speak less protect their energy. They don't spend it on surface-level chatter. They listen. They observe. They read the room. And when they finally do speak, their words are rooted in depth, clarity, and confidence. They don't try to be magnetic. They just are. It's because people subconsciously associate silence with strength. In movies, it's always the calm, quiet character who turns out to be the most dangerous or the most wise, the one who doesn't need to prove anything, the one who already knows. When you speak less, you stop trying to impress, and you start expressing. You shift from attention-seeking to intention-speaking, and intention is magnetic. Speaking less builds authority. Let's break this down in a leadership's context. Imagine a boss who constantly talks, interrupts, explains everything, and doesn't let others speak. That's not leadership, that's noise. Now imagine a leader who listens first, who lets others share, then says just 1 or 2 clear sentences. No fluff, no ego, just direction, clarity, and calm authority. Which one would you follow? Authority doesn't come from volume. It comes from restraint, from the ability to hold space without having to dominate it. Great leaders don't need to be the loudest voice in the room. They just need to be the clearest. And the clearest voice usually belongs to the person who took the time to listen first and speak second. The power of pause. Want to instantly sound more confident? Start using pauses. Most people rush their words out of nervousness. They're afraid of silence. They think it'll make them look unsure or awkward. But here's the truth. Confident people pause. They take their time. They speak slowly. They allow silence to exist between their words. Because they know that silence adds drama. Think of the best speeches you've ever heard. The most iconic movie scenes. The most powerful TED Talks. They're full of pauses. A pause gives people time to absorb what you said. It builds anticipation. It shows you're in control. Try this next time you speak. Instead of saying something and rushing to the next sentence, pause. Let the words breathe. The silence between your words is where the impact lives. Tone is louder than words. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. You can say the same sentence in 10 different tones, and each one will carry a different meaning. Tone carries your emotion, your truth, your intent. Speaking less gives you more space to master your tone. You start becoming aware of how you sound, not just the words, but the energy behind them. Do you sound calm? Do you sound grounded? Do you sound confident? Or do you sound rushed, reactive, or uncertain? People respond more to your tone than your content. You don't need a fancy vocabulary to make an impact. You just need to slow down, be present, and speak with calm intention. When your tone matches your truth, people feel it. And when people feel it, they trust it. Listen to speak better. Here's a skill that almost no one teaches. The better you listen, the better you speak. Most people think speaking well is about knowing what to say. But great communicators don't prepare responses while the other person is talking. They listen deeply. They absorb. They observe. And when it's finally their turn to speak, they're sharp, specific, and clear. Because their words are rooted in understanding, not assumption. Speaking less gives you room to listen more. And the more you listen, the more you understand the other person's values, fears, goals, pain, personality. Now when you speak, your words feel like they were meant just for them. That's when you stop being just another voice and start becoming unforgettable. Think before you speak. Yes, really. In a world that rewards speed and spontaneity, we forget the power of reflection. But impulsive speech can cause unnecessary damage. Wrong jokes, misunderstandings, regretful words you wish you could take back. Speaking less gives you time to think. You don't have to respond instantly. You don't have to fill every silence. You don't have to prove yourself with fast answers. Take your time. Ask yourself, is this helpful? Is this true? Is this necessary? One clear, thoughtful sentence is worth more than 5 rushed ones, and the more thoughtful your words, the more respect you earn. Social media and the noise. Let's talk about something modern. The pressure to post, speak, tweet, and share all the time. Social media makes us believe that we need to constantly say something to stay relevant, to be noticed, to keep up. But in a world full of noise, silence becomes a strategy. Not every opinion needs to be shared. Not every moment needs to be posted. Not every reply needs to be instant. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing. Watch, reflect, protect your peace. When you speak less online, your words carry more value. People wait to hear from you. They respect your presence because you don't flood the feed. You deliver when it counts. Be intentional, be rare, because rare voices don't blend in. They stand out. Speaking less in relationships. Even in personal relationships, romantic, family, or friendship, speaking less can be powerful. It doesn't mean being cold. It means listening better. When someone you love is hurting, sometimes they don't need advice. They just need silence, presence, a hand on theirs, a nod, a deep breath. When there's tension, saying less can prevent escalation. Instead of reacting, you pause. You allow the emotion to settle. You respond with awareness, not impulse. And when you finally speak, your words carry healing, not harm. The most loving thing isn't always what you say. It's how much space you give someone to be heard. Real connection isn't built through more talking. It's built through better listening. Practice the art of restraint. Here's a simple truth. Anyone can talk. Few can stay silent. Speaking less is a discipline. It requires self-awareness, patience, humility, confidence. It means letting go of the need to be right, letting go of the need to be heard all the time, letting go of the fear that silence will make you invisible. Because the opposite is true. When you master restraint, you become more visible, more memorable, more powerful. You shift from noise to signal, from background to highlight, from filler to force. Final thoughts. Become a person of few. Powerful words. This chapter isn't about being quiet for the sake of being quiet. It's about becoming intentional. Intentional with your energy, your presence, your words. It's about learning that your value doesn't increase with volume. It increases with clarity, with purpose, with timing. Speak when it adds value. Speak when it's rooted in truth. Speak when your energy is calm and your heart is clear, and the rest of the time, observe, reflect, listen. Because silence isn't your enemy, it's your edge. Takeaway, practice. Today, speak 50% less. In conversations, focus more on listening. When tempted to reply fast, pause. When writing something online, ask, does this really need to be said? Watch how your energy shifts. Watch how people respond. And most of all, watch how your words start to land. Because you're no longer speaking to be heard. You're speaking to impact. Chapter 4. Silence is a superpower. Have you ever walked away from an argument, choosing to stay quiet instead of saying something you'd regret? Maybe you wanted to speak up, prove your point, defend yourself, or win. But something told you to hold back. And later, you realized that staying silent was the smartest move you made. That's the power of silence. It's not weakness. It's not passiveness. It's not about avoiding conflict or hiding your thoughts. It's about power, control, and strength. When used correctly, silence becomes a superpower that can shape your mind, your relationships, your success, and your peace. In today's world, we're surrounded by noise. Notifications, opinions, debates, social media updates, constant talking. Everyone is speaking, but very few are listening. In a world that values volume, silence often feels like the odd one out. But those who understand and master silence, they become unstoppable. Silence gives you clarity. In the middle of a heated moment, silence is the pause button. It allows you to breathe, step back, and think. When everyone else is reacting emotionally, silence gives you the upper hand, because you're responding with wisdom. That's power. Think about great leaders, wise mentors, or the people you admire most. You'll notice something common. They don't speak unnecessarily. They speak less. But when they do, people listen. Why? Because their silence has created curiosity, respect, and strength. Silence makes your words more powerful when you finally speak. Let's be honest. Most of us talk to fill space. Awkward silences make us uncomfortable. So we ramble, explain ourselves too much, overshare, or speak without thinking. But here's a hard truth. Most of the time, silence would have served us better. You don't need to comment on everything. You don't need to respond to every insult. You don't need to explain yourself to people who aren't trying to understand you. Silence protects your peace. And in many cases, it sends a louder message than words ever could. In relationships, silence is maturity. It's easy to say something hurtful when you're angry. It's hard to stay calm and quiet. But in that space of silence, healing can begin. When one person stops the noise, the whole dynamic can shift. Silence helps de-escalate. It says, I choose peace over ego. In business, silence is strategy. Smart entrepreneurs don't reveal their next move. They don't overshare plans or ideas until the time is right. They listen more than they talk. They observe, gather data, and make quiet decisions that surprise everyone. Warren Buffett once said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Silence is patience, and patience wins." Let's talk about another angle: silence and self-respect. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. When someone disrespects you, silence can show them that you're not playing their game, that their words don't deserve a reply, that your energy is too valuable to waste. You don't owe everyone access to your thoughts. Boundaries don't always have to be loud. Sometimes it's just stepping back, saying less, cutting off drama by not feeding it, choosing your inner peace over temporary satisfaction. And silence isn't just about how you deal with others. It's also about how you deal with yourself. Think about how rare silence is in your day. When was the last time you sat in complete quiet with your own thoughts? No phone, no music, no TV, just you. Most people avoid silence because in silence, things surface. Your thoughts, your insecurities, your past, your fears. But here's the truth. Silence is where healing begins. It's in silence that your mind resets, your creativity sparks, your real self speaks up. Meditation is built on this idea. So is deep thinking. So is spiritual growth. Whether you're religious or not, every wise tradition in the world values silence. Silence is sacred. It connects you with your intuition, your gut feeling, your inner compass. And that voice? That's the one voice that will never lie to you. In a noisy world, learning to sit in silence is like building a secret weapon. Because while everyone else is being reactive, impulsive, and overwhelmed, you're grounded, focused, centered. That's when your ideas become clearer, your decisions become sharper, your emotions become manageable. Silence also helps you become a better communicator. Ironically, the best communicators aren't just good at talking. They're masters at listening. When you're truly silent and present in a conversation, you hear what's being said and what's not being said. You catch the tone, the hesitation, the emotion behind the words. That's a rare skill. Most people listen to reply, not to understand. But when you listen with silence, people feel safe around you. They feel respected. And in return, they respect you. That's powerful. Let's bring it to daily life. Next time you're in a conversation, try speaking less and listening more. Watch how the other person opens up. Watch how your perspective shifts. You'll learn things you would have missed if you were too busy planning your response. Next time you're tempted to argue online or clap back at a hater, choose silence. Let your results speak. Let your growth speak. Let your peace speak. They're louder than any comment you could type. Next time you feel overwhelmed, overstimulated, or anxious, don't reach for your phone. Don't distract yourself. Try sitting in silence for 5 minutes. You'll be amazed at how your mind starts to settle. Your body relaxes. Your focus returns. This is how silence becomes your superpower. Not because you're passive, but because you're intentional. You're not giving your energy to everything. You're choosing what deserves your voice and what doesn't. You begin to realize that silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. So, how do you build this superpower? It starts with awareness. Notice your patterns. Are you speaking out of habit? Out of fear? Out of the need to be heard or understood or validated? None of those things are wrong, but when they control you, they drain you. Next, practice pausing. Before responding to a text, an insult, or even a compliment, pause. Give yourself a moment. Breathe. You'll find that you respond with more intention and less regret. Start carving out silence in your day. Mornings are great for this. Even 5 minutes of silent reflection, prayer, or journaling can change your entire day. You'll be more calm, focused, and present. And finally, honor your silence. Don't let the world make you feel like being quiet means being weak. You don't need to explain every decision. You don't need to prove yourself every moment. You are allowed to hold your peace close to your chest like a priceless treasure, because it is. You are allowed to speak less and mean more. You are allowed to protect your mental space. You are allowed to walk away from conversations that drain you. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's power. That's your superpower. And the more you master it, the more you'll realize. You never really needed to be loud to be heard. You just needed to be silent enough to know what's truly worth saying. Chapter 5. Create your quiet life. What if the life you truly wanted wasn't hidden in the next big achievement, another self-help podcast, or a new productivity hack, but in silence? What if peace, clarity, creativity, and confidence already live within you, but you're just too distracted to hear them? That's the power of creating a quiet life, not a boring life, not a lonely life, but a life with enough stillness to hear your own thoughts, feel your own feelings, and live on your own terms. In this final chapter, we're not just talking about silence as a response or a mindset. We're talking about silence as a lifestyle. This is where everything you've learned in the previous chapters becomes part of your day-to-day life. Because knowing the power of silence is one thing. Living it is where the transformation happens. Let's be real. Most of us live in a state of constant noise. From the moment we wake up, we're plugged in. The alarm blares, we reach for our phones, check notifications, scroll through feeds, respond to messages, and that's all before we've even gotten out of bed. The noise doesn't stop there. The news is loud. Social media is louder. The pressure to keep up, speak up, perform, and respond is non-stop. But we never stop to ask, what is all this noise doing to us? It's numbing us. It's dulling our awareness. It's drowning our inner voice. And perhaps worst of all, it's distracting us from the life we actually want to live. That's why creating a quiet life isn't a luxury. It's survival. It's a way to reclaim your mental space in a world that's constantly trying to invade it. Creating a quiet life doesn't mean moving to the mountains or deleting all your apps. It means being intentional. It means choosing silence in small, daily ways that build into a life filled with focus, depth, and joy. And the first step? Start with your mornings. Your morning sets the tone for your entire day. If the first thing you do is check your phone, you've already let the world's agenda invade your mental space. Instead, try starting your day with 5 to 15 minutes of silence. Sit with your coffee, watch the sunrise, journal your thoughts, or simply breathe. Let your mind wake up before the world barges in. It may feel uncomfortable at first. You might feel restless. Your brain will want to reach for stimulation. But with practice, you'll start to crave this time. It becomes a sacred space, yours and yours, alone. In that silence, you'll begin to notice something: clarity, ideas, insights, gratitude. You'll hear things that were buried under all the noise. You'll feel more grounded, more centered, more alive. Once you claim your mornings, the next step is protecting your evenings. Silence before sleep is just as important. Think about how you currently end your day. Are you mindlessly scrolling, in bed, falling asleep to the sound of TV or chaos? That kind of noise doesn't just disrupt your sleep, it carries anxiety into your dreams. Instead, try ending your day with reflection. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? What drained me? What lifted me? What can I release before I rest? You can write it down or just sit with it. This simple nightly silence becomes a soft landing for your mind. It signals your brain to slow down. It prepares your heart for rest. Another way to infuse silence into your daily rhythm is by taking reflection breaks. You don't have to wait for the weekend to unplug. Even 5 minute silent pauses in the middle of a busy day can work wonders. Step outside, put your phone away, take a short walk, breathe, feel the air. Let your thoughts wander without judgment. These micro moments help reset your nervous system and bring you back to yourself. One of the most overlooked benefits of silence is how it impacts your relationships. When you stop filling every space with words, you create room for deeper connection. Silence helps you listen better, not just to words, but to emotions. You become more attuned to what others are truly saying. And in return, people feel more seen, more understood, more respected. In difficult conversations, silence becomes a tool for emotional intelligence. You don't rush to defend. You don't interrupt. You don't try to win. You stay calm. You pause. You respond instead of reacting. This builds trust. It softens conflict. It opens space for healing. And it's not just about serious talks. Even in love and friendship, shared silence creates intimacy. Have you ever sat with someone and felt totally comfortable not saying anything? That's real connection. When two people can share silence without awkwardness, it's a sign of deep respect and safety. The quiet becomes a bridge, not a barrier. Now let's talk about creativity. Silence is the birthplace of ideas. Some of the greatest inventions, songs, books, and breakthroughs happened in moments of solitude. That's not a coincidence. When your mind isn't bombarded with input, it starts to generate output. When there's space, your imagination wakes up. Want to be more creative? Give your brain some quiet time. Go for a walk without headphones. Journal without a prompt. Daydream without guilt. Some of your best thoughts will show up when you stop chasing them. And when you make silence a habit, something powerful happens. You begin to trust yourself more. Because in silence, you're not seeking external validation. You're not comparing. You're not reacting. You're simply being. And in that state, you realize you're enough. You're capable. You're wise. You've always known the answers. You were just too noisy to hear them. Let's take it a step further. Silence also helps you simplify your life. When you're no longer addicted to noise, you become more intentional with everything. You stop overcommitting. You stop trying to please everyone. You start saying no to things that don't align. You value your time, your energy, your space. That's where a minimalist lifestyle starts to form, not just in your physical space, but in your mental and emotional world. You clear out clutter. Not just junk in your closet, but junk in your calendar, junk in your mind, junk in your relationships. Silence makes you see clearly, and when you see clearly, you live simply. You might even find yourself becoming more grateful. In silence, the little things become louder. The sound of birds in the morning, the warmth of your tea, the quiet presence of someone you love. When you slow down enough to notice these things, your heart softens, your anxiety fades, your joy grows. Creating a quiet life doesn't mean escaping the world. It means showing up differently. It means moving through the chaos without becoming it. It means staying rooted when the world is spinning. It's a quiet strength that doesn't need to prove itself. And yes, there will be times when the world demands your attention. Emergencies, responsibilities, people you love who need you. Silence doesn't mean running from those things. It means showing up with presence. It means responding with wisdom. It means knowing when to speak and when to pause. The beauty of a quiet life is that it teaches you balance. You learn to embrace both silence and sound, solitude and connection, being and doing. You don't live on autopilot anymore. You live with intention, and that's the life that most people crave. A life that feels calm, clear, and real. A life where you know yourself deeply, where your decisions come from alignment, not pressure, where your confidence isn't based on noise, but on inner peace. So if you've made it this far in the book, you already know this isn't about being quiet for the sake of it. This is about building a life that reflects your highest self. It's about making silence your superpower, your sanctuary, your secret weapon. Start small. A silent morning, a phone-free evening, a journal entry before bed, a pause before you speak, a walk without music. These tiny moments will add up. Over time, they'll change the way you think, feel, connect, and live. And one day, you'll look around at your life and realize something beautiful. It's quiet, not empty, not boring, but clear, peaceful, empowering, full of meaning, full of life. And you'll know you created it. This is the power of silence. This is your quiet life. And it's just the beginning.